First of all, Andrew, hi. Congratulations on the new film. This is one of the most anticipated films so far this year. Talk to me about why it's a must watch for fall. I mean, this guy, Baker, is still a very polarizing character, and obviously the former husband of Tammy Faye.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting story in the sense of, I think what was fascinating to me anyway about jumping into it was these are very kind of iconic, polarizing human beings that have been framed in a certain way by the events of the past and the media frenzy surrounding them and by their own making. And it's always fascinating to try and get underneath the surface of things, and especially with people that you could quite easily dismiss or judge or vilify. So for me, it's what are the steps that get to this kind of life, this kind of behavior, these kind of choices, and that was fascinating to me, and I know that was fascinating to Jessica as well. And Jessica puts in a really remarkable performance, and the character is such a kind of iconic character that I think she's given so much more depth and kind of, I don't know, she's kind of surrounded her with the love that she kind of deserves for this project.
Absolutely. And you talk about those superficial, more obvious layers. What did you find underneath that initial layer when it came to Jim Baker's world?
Well, again, this is only my interpretation and my kind of research, excavation, and my own kind of instinct about Jim. So there's nothing gospel about what I'm doing. It's just my version of trying to capture what I understood to be his essence and what drove him and what he struggled with. But for me, what was fascinating was, and I think what was ultimately very relatable about Jim is that he was someone who was struggling with a sense of never enoughness.
Mm.
And because otherwise, there's no need for all of those accoutrements. There's no need for the mansions. There's no need for the material wealth. There's no need for the kind of fawning praise of millions of people showing up for your TV show. Like without that sense that I'm not worthy of love or of attention or of inclusion, do I need I wouldn't, if I felt worthy, maybe I wouldn't need all of that kind of I don't know, dressing to feel filled up. And I think we all have a version of that we struggle with in a culture that enforces that and makes sure that we are struggling with it. So I think he was a kind of a great kind of Icarus like figure of flying too close to the sun, and the shadow then has to catch up because that you can't have light without the dark. And he's someone that tried to fill himself up with outside external validation. And I think we all, no matter how off the grid we try to live, we all struggle with that dynamic.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this story obviously follows quite a few years of this couple's life. So there are quite a few transformations that happen. How was that process for you? I mean, it is really wild to see that final iteration of Baker that you pull off. What was it like making that physical transformation? How long were we in the hair and makeup chair?
Yeah, it's that. So thank God I had two guys who we could just tell terrible jokes to for 3 hours every morning that we had together from 5 a.m. till 8 a.m. Like, because otherwise it would have been hellish. And we had a good time, thankfully. And but yeah, no, it was brutal. Like I was just looking through old photos actually of like the D rig at the end of the day, and it's like I'm on. It's nuts. It was
Yeah.
so, but it was fun. Like I was worried at first. I was like, it's hard to be alive when you have all this plastic
Yeah.
and silicone in your face. You have to like work extra hard to get through this layer. But you end up just using it and kind of like trying to include it in and like work with it in the performance. But yeah, it was definitely a challenge that I wouldn't be in a rush to try and use prosthetics again. It wasn't exactly my idea of a good time.
That's the most comfortable of the experiences.
Uh,
Okay. When it comes to working with Jessica, obviously you talked about her a little bit, but one, I'd love to hear what you first thought when you saw her transformation into Tammy, and then also a true highlight of sharing the set with her.
Yeah. So immediately, you know, we had a really loving and respectful collaboration. And she obviously this is something that she's been wanting to do for 8 years, I think, and it's been a passion for like she's loved Tammy and loved what Tammy's about, and she really wanted to honor who this woman was and the beauty that she brought and the love that she brought to the world. And I really think she's done that and beyond and superseded expectations of that. Yeah, and it was a slow process. Like we would we would do dialect sessions together at first, and we would kind of do monologues for each other and listen to each other's voices because the accents are very specific. And you know, she's from Minnesota and Jim's from Michigan with a little by way of Southern Baptist because he grew up listening to Jerry Falwell. So like there's a very, and we worked with our amazing dialect coach Liz Himmelstein. So that was the beginning. And then I started to see we would share with each other photos of like prosthetics tests and makeup tests. And then there was a day where they really just went hard and like her and her team, they created one of her most iconic looks for a screen test. And that was the moment where you go, oh yeah, there it is. There she is. Wow, this is really a profound thing. And a kind of a remarkable transformation, and you kind of go, oh, the movie's going to be fine because
Yeah.
look at that.
Yeah, absolutely. And lastly, before I let you go, have you one seen the viral moment between Jessica and Oscar on the red carpet? And two, how do you top that when it's time for you two to start doing press?
I did text her and I said, I hope you don't expect me to lick your armpit when we're on a red carpet together. I said, no, this is a no licky pity zone for me. You know, listen, you know, it's life.
You'll workshop it.
No, I'm like, no, you know, you guys go for it. Whatever. Do what you need to do.